Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rage Quit Radio. I am Mike.
Sam.
We have not fired your Ronin in the Know, Mr. Joe. He is off-screen that-away somewhere, waiting for his cue, as are all of our other players, because this is a wee bit different. We are not doing a board game or card game or miniatures game. No. For the first time ever, we are doing a role-playing game on Rage Quit Radio. And so, today is our first gaming session, and somebody's phone just went off. Maybe on the table, I'm not sure. Martin, is this your phone over here?
My bad.
We're trying to be
Professionalism on Rage Quit Radio. It's a hallmark. So
way to screw up the immersion, Marty.
So, to let you guys know what we're doing here and kind of give you a little bit of background, we are playing Legend of the Five Rings. We are not using the current Fantasy Flight beta rules. We are using the AEG 4th edition of L5R. It's just the one I'm most familiar with, as well as most of my players, except Sam, because this is Sam's first ever role-playing game. So, you've seen a couple of weeks where they've been finishing off their characters, so you're a little bit familiar with them already. Just so you know a little bit about this world and what we're doing. Number one, this version of Rokugan is nowhere near as xenophobic as Rokugan is typically portrayed. Gaijin are allowed to travel and to, sell their wares and have shops and so on, as long as they have the right papers and clearances and so on. As
Democracy.
long as they, not democracy.
Bureaucracy.
It is not bureaucracy. Yes. Also, in this world, it is the year 1165, which we're in the original AEG timeline of Legend of the Five Rings, but the world is not the same one you're familiar with if you read any of the books or know the real fluff, because this campaign world has been going on for a little while, and my players have helped shape that world. So I've always felt if the players can't change the world, then what's the use in playing? So there are some distinct changes in this version of L5R. You may also hear some terms that are best known as being from 7th Sea. That is because in my version of Rokugan, 7th Sea forms the Europe of the world. So if you hear places like Castile or Avalon or Montan, that's actually places from 7th Sea that are in this L5R world. So, in future episodes, this is where I will do the previously on Legend of the Five Rings, but in this case, previously that you didn't see on Legend of the Five Rings, it is the year 1165. It is the month of the Serpent. It is the 6th year in the reign of the glorious Empress Tuturi II. In this world, Tuturi II, the only daughter of Emperor Tuturi I, the victor of the Day of Thunder, the Black Lion himself, she claims the throne, declares herself Empress in order to preserve the peace of a quickly fracturing empire. The imperial capital of Odasan Uchi burned to the ground years ago, and now the imperial port city of Ryuban Toshi serves as the capital of Rokugan. Currently, hopeful young men and women, samurai all, both Bushi and Sugenjo, warriors and priests, are on their way to the sleepy fishing village of Tsuma in the Crane territories, villages bigger than some and smaller than others, in order to participate in the biggest Genpuku ceremony in the world, the most prestigious coming of age anywhere in Rokugan. So now I'm going to refer to notes because I wrote a script. In the lands near Kyuden Kakita, along the banks of the Tangu River, is the village of Tsuma. Tsuma is a fishing village, only slightly larger than the average peasant village. A few dozen small homes and barns, some shops, and a couple of inns. Notably, it is also home to the Kakita Dueling Academy. During any other time of year, it would be slightly more active than other villages of its size, thanks to its proximity to the coast and one of the Crane's most prominent strongholds. However, this is not any other time of year. It is the spring, the month of the Serpent, and Tsuma plays its annual role as host of the most prestigious of all Genpuku, the Test of the Topaz Championship. The test brings the best and brightest from throughout the Empire, aspiring samurai sponsored by the great clans, All hopeful one of their chosen will win honor and glory in a tournament that challenges everything from Ii-Jitsu and horsemanship to haiku poetry and go. Hopefuls tend to arrive a day or two early to settle in and find their way in the sleepy farm town turned festive village. Banners and lanterns and streamers in imperial and crane colors mate, but the banners of the various participating clans are lining the main street, leading up to the House of the Laughing Tarp, the largest inn in the village. Following the main street down opposite of the house, a young Shinjo Bushi, her eyes wide with wonder and excitement on her first journey so far from home, makes her way into the village, leading her trusted steed by the reins. That young Shinjo Bushi is named Shinjo Saya. So, you have arrived in what otherwise looks like a sleepy fishing village, but there are more colors down the streets than you have ever seen in your life. You are used to villages being dominated by purples and whites and various wood tones and such. But here you see colors of all the clans of Rokugan. You see the burgundies and blacks of the scorpion and the reds and yellows of the phoenix. You see the cranes, blue and silver, a great deal. After all, it's their town. The street itself has quite the hustle and bustle about it. There are people running around for various carts and various buildings, getting things set up for the test that will begin tomorrow. As you look down through, you see a large inn at the very end of the main street with a sign that reads the House of the Laughing Tarp. And it is easily the most opulent building on Main Street. There are a couple other sake houses and tea houses. Some look less reputable than others. A couple of interesting buildings of foreign design from their signage out front. A Rokugani building, but language that's obviously not Rokugani on the sign. Some of them you might be familiar with as a unicorn who has had relations outside of the Empire and used to seeing foreigners, gaijin, in your territory. There is a large temple, which you can see the emblem of the Brotherhood of Shinsei, the monk order known throughout Rokugan. You see that large temple, and you see the roofs of the Kakita Dueling Academy off in the distance, where most of the testing will be held for the Topaz Championship. So what is it that our wide-eyed young Shinjo wants to do?
Well, first we gotta make sure my horse is okay.
Oh, your horse is in
Is already
perfect.
stable.
Oh, you have your horse with you.
Oh, I can take her anywhere?
Yes, you can take her anywhere you like. Your horse, you're leading her around by the reins at the moment, but your steed is probably as wide-eyed as you are at the moment.
We're gonna stop at a tea house first.
Well, there is one tea house that's got quite a bit of business that you can see. It has a sign that identifies it as the House of the Red Lotus.
Okay.
So, as you walk in, it's a very new building, recently renovated. Scuttlebutt as you head down tells you that it's been open for less than a month. You can walk in and tell that it's a place ran and operated by someone who's obviously quite wealthy. There are individuals in here far, far more affluent looking than you probably should be associating with at your young age. However, curiously, at one corner table, there is a young crane sitting down who looks to be not much older than you. And curiously enough, there is a blue cloth Mimpo-like mask sitting in front of him on his table.
What's the mask?
So it's just a blue mask that
covers the face.
would cover from here down.
Yeah, let's go talk to the crane.
We're going to go talk to the crane. The young crane is a man known as Daidoji Ryo. Well, not Daidoji, just Kakita Ryo. I mixed up the name on my notes. You don't know this. I'm narrating right now. So, Kakita Ryo has been in town for probably the last 3 or 4 days. This being his homeland, the land of the crane, he has been reacquainting himself with the surroundings. The House of the Red Lotus, you have heard from Scuttlebutt and whatnot, is operated by probably the richest doji merchant in Tsuma. A place for you to relax. It has become well known for its sake and its food and its quality of entertainment. And a young Shinjo, wide-eyed, approaches your table.
Greetings.
Thank you. Thank you.
What brings you to this fair establishment?
I am here for the tournaments, the coming of age things.
Seems we have things in common. I too am here for that.
You might want to speak up a wee bit. You're facing this way and the mic is there. I know he is.
Pull out his sleeve, sets his sake cup down. I assume we have orders coming.
You have orders coming. You just got here. Roll a intelligence check. So that is going to be for you 2 dice, and you're going to keep both. And you're going to need the Fooling die wherever it has disappeared to. So just so you guys know, one of the house rules I use for my L5R games is something we call the Fooling die. The Fooling die is a D10 where the number 10 is the Mon of the Dark Kami Fooling. If she rolls a 10, if any player rolls a 10 on the Fooling die, it can explode as normal, just like any other die in Legend of the Five Rings. However, if she elects to use that 10, then something bad could happen later. Of course, the downside is since you're making a trait check, you have no choice but to use that die. So here's hoping you don't roll a 10 unless you just really want it to pass the roll.
I've got it.
A 9? Okay. Very odd to you to see a crane produce his own sake cup. There are people who have the traditions of producing their own sake cup and always carrying it with them. Usually those are of the Scorpion clan who have this tendency to, well, not trust anyone. They bring their own sake cups often to avoid potential pitfalls of other people handling their dishes. But it's very awkward to see a crane do that. Of course, it's also awkward to see a crane with a mask, even if he's not currently wearing it.
Am I supposed to be doing something?
Well, you could. Do you want to sit down with him and converse? Do you want to order food?
I want to sit down and converse and get some food since I've been traveling for a while.
Okay. A waitress comes over, a young peasant, and she bows deeply to you because though you are a child, you're still of the samurai caste. She bows deeply to you. And what can I bring for you on this day, young samurai ko?
I got deep into. Okay, tea. At least some hot tea.
Mm-hmm.
When a kid, and I don't know what kind of fruit they have. Just something light.
Oh, our pickled mackerel is excellent this time of year.
I will have that then.
She bows and retreats to the kitchen.
I am right. That do we drink sake at this age, or is it not? Just for make sure I'm not making
so would it be frowned upon because you're young? However,
You're a rebel.
it's nothing that's going to get you in trouble. It just might be perceived as a little odd.
I'm already odd.
Okay.
I'm used to playing.
You're used to always being able to have your sake. So,
It's reason he drinks.
yes. So, and your food is already at the table. You have a warm carafe of not terribly good sake, and you have probably some of the same pickled mackerel.
I will once she sits down and makes her order. I will wait until she gets hers and we'll
Each of you,
done.
yes.
few moments later, your food arrives.
Cheers.
Campfire.
Okay.
You traveled many miles to get here? And I've just recently returned. Things are different than I remember.
Yes, this is actually the first time I've been out of my village, and I'm never seen such a wide range of colors and people.
It's a lot of influx of people for the tournaments this year.
Do you know if this is normal?
I assume so for Kampuku testing. It is also my first time back home since I went to school.
Now, you would have trained at a dojo for quite some time in preparation for this and so on.
Would the dojo be in my hometown?
It could be. It's fairly likely.
Okay.
Make an awareness check for me. So, your awareness is 1. So you're going to roll 1d10, and whatever it is, you get to guess which one you got to roll. There you go.
Yep.
A 1. Okay.
That's bad.
Yeah, not bad. It just means that nothing he has said so far strikes you in any way as odd. Your village, your dojo is in your hometown, and so on. He must have went to school in a neighboring village or somewhere on the other side of Crane Lands.
So just keep going, or I'm
Sure.
sorry.
This is so. For those of you at home watching, this is Sam's very first ever role playing game. So, but you've got a wonderful group to help accompany you into your first role playing game. This is sort of an opportunity for you to explore your character and figure out a little bit of how does she talk and how does she act and so on. Marty's already got a rough idea of how his Kakita behaves.
I have played a lot of RP games, but I haven't played in a long time. So I had to reacquaint myself with it, so I may be a little jittery here and there.
Well, she's naive because she's never left her town, but she's brash, so she's gonna be up in your face about it.
Okay.
Which is why she went into the Red Lotus, because she doesn't care. And she went and talked to Crane because she'd probably get better answers out of somebody close to her own age and trying to.
So, as you two are conversing and having your food, okay. There's a commotion in one side of the establishment. A commotion that includes breaking dishes, things being thrown against walls, and a rather boisterous merchant screaming at the top of his lungs, "How dare you bring me such substandard food!" And he literally picks up a dish of this mackerel and hurls it back through the drapes that separate the kitchen from the rest of the building. And you can hear it crash into something, possibly a person, from the groan you just heard.
This doesn't bode well.
Let's say I would probably reach my feet with my weapon half drawn.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I'm brash. Gotta get good.
That's not even remotely what I was expecting you to do.
Yeah.
You see this young Shinjo jump to her feet and half draw her wakizashi.
Patience is key. There may be more to this than it looks. So it looks like he's a very rich merchant.
He appears that way. Do you have anything loosely resembling investigation? As I ask the rank 0 characters who have very few skills.
All I got is no. I got no.
Alright, Marty, can you make me an argument for something?
We can just go if he calms me down. Well, not calms me down, but makes me.
Oh, he would have to try.
You would have.
Do you have? If you don't have anything, just etiquette ain't gonna help. Make me a perception check, Marty.
Perception.
Don't need the fooling die. That die's gonna get passed around a lot.
Perception runs off before it again.
It's one of your traits.
Forget about it.
Yes, he very much appears to be a rather wealthy merchant. It's hard to tell where his allegiances lie, but he's putting on quite the boisterous show, waving arms, yelling, screaming. The staff is bowing deeply and apologizing profusely, and there's one person off to another corner who, frankly, does not even look remotely amused. And both of you make an awareness check for me. Yep.
Close.
8.
What is my awareness?
Your awareness is a 1. It's one of your traits. There it is.
Okay, cool.
5. And the person that's not looking terribly amused, you can't make out everything, but you can certainly make out the brown and gold colors of the Lion Clan, which is a very honor-driven, very militant clan in many ways. They are known as the Emperor's right hand because they are his strong right hand.
Okay.
They're also somewhat quick to temper.
So yeah, I sit my butt back down.
That's why I say see how this plays out and let strategy be our guide.
Yes.
The waitress that brought you your food slowly makes her way back over to your table.
Is there a problem?
Yes, there is. And I would humbly suggest that as young hopefuls engaging in the test, I assume, you may wish to vacate the establishment before something untoward happens.
I'm gonna stay and watch what happens. I'll stay out of the danger zone. I gotta go down behind the table.
I'm gonna pick my mask up.
With respect,
That would not
Shinjo-san,
I would take
this
the advice.
entire establishment may well be the danger zone before
Okay.
long.
Alright, and I will.
But I'm not hurrying, but I'll finish a quick bite or two, wash it down.
I will follow my new
Tuck it
companion's
away.
example and follow him.
Okay.
And edge toward the door. Not in a rush, but edge.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll casually stroll.
Casually.
Saunter.
It's a saunter, you say. Okay. So you saunter towards the door. You continue to hear yelling and screaming and various, and most of it's this one boisterous merchant. But you do manage to get out of the building and without seeing too much more. The village, it's probably been maybe half an hour, maybe a little longer. Do you have any destinations in mind?
Well, where would we supposed to go to check in, as it were?
Check-in's not required until tomorrow morning when the tournament actually begins. But when you do, that will be at the Kakita Dueling Academy, which the academy is closed to the public until tomorrow morning.
If you would care to join me, I would like to make sure I have a room at the inn, because the town's very busy, and then I'd like to go check out the dueling academy, if you'd care to join me.
So,
Request I can make.
so
He always speaks very low. Kind of, you have to lean in to hear him when he talks.
you folks at home may have to turn the volume up on
Sorry.
YouTube when he talks. Well, there are a couple of different inns, but the largest inn in town, and probably your best chance to get a room, is going to be the House of the Laughing Carp, which is the very prominent building. Your parents actually recommended it to you. It's been serving as the home away from home for young children for years during the test of the Topaz Championship. So,
Then that sounds like our best bet.
okay. You make your way down to the House of the Flying Carp. It is a tea house and inn of high regard. It has been there for many, many years. Over the last couple of years, it was purchased by a Yasuki merchant. The Yasuki being the house that is loyal to both the crab and the crane through a number of different unique circumstances, but a family of merchants and diplomats. It has become a very popular lodging throughout the area year-round. During the test of the Laughing Carp, it always stays rather busy. There's a wide range of patrons. Rumor has it, in fact, that they even keep a reserve of friendly traveler sake, the finest sake in all of Rokugan, which generally has a price tag to match.
I was about to say horror funds.
Not good.
Not good.
You're a kid.
We barely got enough to eat.
So,
Probably.
when you go in, I need both of you. Do either of you have Lore Bushido? It would be one of your skills if you do. Do you have any lore skill at all? Okay,
I'm
then.
loreless.
You're loreless.
Actually, I think this is well.
Then I need you both to make me an intelligence check.
First,
Go ahead.
Your intelligence is 2, by the way, so you need to roll 2 dice.
2 dice. Okay.
Yeah, that 8's not bad, so roll something and add to it. 12. Okay.
Is that an intelligence check?
Yep.
You're right!
I got us covered.
When you think. So when you walk in, the room is opulent. You see stained wood with various carvings and engravings as the tabletops.
Highly
With
polished.
oh yes, very highly polished with different scenes portraying the history of Rokugan, and there is a series of paintings on the wall that shows the winners of the past Topaz champions, dating back to the reign of Hantai the 37th, the one who first coined the winner of this tournament his Topaz champion. When you walk in, as you've heard, there's a wide array of individuals here. You recognize most of the different colors and mons and whatnot, save one. There is one that is wearing the curious combination of a phoenix's orange but a dragon's green, and is wearing a mon that is totally unfamiliar to you, though you know enough to know that it's, obviously the mon of some samurai family.
The green and orange just kind of...
Yeah. But he's sitting off to one side with a series of scrolls in front of him, almost as if he's studying something. Upon closer inspection, you can tell that the mon looks like a very stylized bird.
Yeah, we're gonna go say hi.
Okay.
I like making friends.
Very curious.